Welcome to lesson 8-3, multiply fractions and whole numbers. Our I can statement says I can multiply fractions and whole numbers. Please take a moment and write down your lesson title and I can statement. Our problem for today says that Julie has 10 yards of ribbon. She divides the ribbon into 3 equal pieces and uses 2 of the pieces on gifts. How much ribbon does she use? Solve this problem any way you choose. So we're going to be multiplying fractions and whole numbers, so keep that in mind. And before you solve the problem, let's quickly review cubes. We're going to want to circle the important numbers. So we have 10 yards of ribbon. We're dividing it into 3 equal pieces, and we're going to use 2 of those pieces. We're going to underline our question, how much ribbon does she use in all? Um, how much ribbon does she use? We're going to want to evaluate this. So we're going to want to think about putting ourselves in this problem and visualize having that 10 yards of ribbon. We're going to divide it into 3 equal pieces, and we're using 2 of those pieces. So a little bit of a helpful piece of information is that we're using 2/3 of the ribbon. So that might be helpful as you solve this problem. Go ahead and pause, work the problem out, and press play when you're ready to continue. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to solve this problem. So we have those 10 yards of ribbon, and we're dividing those into 3 equal pieces. 3 isn't going to go very nice and neatly into 10, so that's kind of why I talked about this. We're actually using 2/3 of the ribbon. So one way to solve this problem would be to multiply 2/3 times 10. And when I do that, I like to put a 1 underneath my whole number because I know I'm going to multiply numerators and multiply denominators. So 2 times 10 will be 20. 3 times 1 is 3. I have an improper fraction that I want to convert into a mixed number for my answer. So one way to do that is to see how many groups of 3 are in 20. 3 will go into 26 times. When we subtract, we're going to get 2 left over, but that's going to become a fraction of 2/3. The numerator came from right here. So how much ribbon did Julie use? And she used 6 2/3 yards of ribbon. Okay, let's take a look and see some other possible ways this problem could have been worked. Here's an example of how Sophia solved the problem. And she went ahead and divided out the 10 yards into 3 equal groups. So she showed that using a visual representation right here. And then down below, the 2 pieces are 3 1/3 and 3 1/3. So she added those together. So when you divide 10 yards by 3 yards, you're going to get 3 groups of 3 1/3. And then she added 2 of those groups. Those are the groups that she circled together. And she got the same answer that we did. Leo worked it similar to the strategy that I used. He didn't draw a visual representation. He thought about it as we're using 2/3 of 10 of the 10 yards of ribbon. So you can find that by multiplying 2/3 by 10, and you get 6 2/3 yards. It's also important whenever you're multiplying fractions and whole numbers. 3/3 of 10 would be 10. So you know that your answer that you're going to get when you're only going to find 2/3 of 10 is going to be smaller than that original 10 yards. So that's something to kind of keep in mind when you're working those. We want to be sure that you take a moment and you write in our secret word for the lesson at the top of your page. Our secret word is sunshine. The secret word is sunshine. Please summarize your work at this time. Write about your thinking, write in enough detail that if someone read your summary, they would understand the strategy that you use to solve the problem and could actually use your strategy. Please be ready to share your problem solving method in class tomorrow with your partner.